Hi, my name's Rob Scott from UC Today, bringing you all the news and conversation from the unified communications and collaboration space. So today, I'm joined by Mida Solutions and Ribbon Communications, and we're going to be exploring the gaps in Microsoft Teams. Yes, I said gaps. So stay with us to find out how you can complete your Microsoft Teams picture. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks, Rob. Great to see you.
Ciao, Bob. Nice to see you. Thank you.
Well, thanks for joining me, and I'm really excited by today's topic. But before we jump in, why don't we just do a quick round of introductions? Marco, would you like to go first?
Yeah, nice for me. So I'm Marco Cortese. I'm the CIO of Mida Solutions, and I'm the responsible for sales in Mida. Our company is, I cannot say anymore, a young company since we founded it in 2004. And we have been working on unified communication application since the beginning. And we provide solution for all the most important market segment for service provider, enterprises, and public administrations. And in 15 years, we have been working with a lot of technologies and partners. And I think one of the most important is obviously it's Ribbon that we are working now in the new scenario of Teams. And we have in the last year improved our customer worldwide because there are obviously no more limits thanks to the cloud solutions. Let me say just a final thing that may seem a secondary thing, but we are ISO 9000 certified. It's not a formal part, it's because our customer needs to have quality products, and quality is not only in the software that we write, it's in everything we do in our company. So let me say that we have 15 years of expertise in unified communications, and we have been working starting from TDM, so when the world was still wired, now it's wireless. And I think that the most important thing is this expertise, and I think we are going to talk about this today, is what we can do to bring this expertise, these solutions in the Microsoft environment, because as you said, there is a gap, and we will see where's the gap and how we can fill it.
Great, thanks very much, Marco, and a very warm welcome. Over to you, John.
So I'm the Senior Vice President of Enterprise and Channel Marketing for Ribbon Communications. Ribbon is a company that's been built through acquisitions over the years. Some names that may be familiar to a lot of your listeners and viewers are Genband, Nortel, Sonus Networks, and I came to Ribbon from Edgewater Networks. Most recently, we acquired an IP optical networking company in Israel called ECI Telecom. So we are getting bigger by the day. Specific to today's presentation, I'm going to focus on our work with Microsoft Teams. We help enterprises, and our partners also obviously help enterprises make that migration from legacy voice infrastructure to the cloud, specifically to Microsoft Teams. We supply session border controllers of all shapes and sizes, consumable in any way that the market wants to consume them. So we've been really pleased with our partnership with Mida in this space, our partnership with Microsoft, and a host of others in this space, and really enjoying watching Teams grow as it has over the last year.
It has indeed. So we've lots to talk about. So, exponential growth and adoption of Microsoft Teams has really led to enterprises searching for integrated solutions to close those gaps and obviously build bridges between those legacy applications, as you mentioned. In this session, we're going to explore the latest Microsoft Teams migration and adoption trends with John and customer challenges and what Microsoft partners like Mida and Ribbon Communications are doing to really complete that picture with integrated and very flexible Teams certified solutions. So now I've kind of set you up there, John. Would you like to just kick off with what's dominating the kind of conversation right now? I suppose you recently released a UC Perspectives report, so I know you've got some good data points to share with us.
Yeah, we did. So Ribbon went out and surveyed about 4,500 decision makers at businesses ranging from 20 employees all the way up to more than 5,000 employees. These 4,500 individuals were located in 19 countries. So far, we've been able to cover the Americas and Europe. We are kicking off the MEA part of EMEA and APAC in about a week's time. So we'll have more data on that. Some really interesting trends. Most of them, I think, we can attribute back to March of 2020 when the world changed dramatically and everyone scrambled. So we found a couple of things. One is that smaller businesses with fewer than 100 employees have really increased their need for full-time on-site IT staff. Imagine yourself the owner of a 50-person business, and on March 7th of 2020, you realize that all of your workers are going to be remote. You've got no IT gal, IT guy to turn to say, what can we do? So what we've seen is almost a doubling of the number of businesses, fewer than 100 employees, who do have a full-time on-site IT person. What that's led to is an increase in adoption of unified communications generally. In that sub 100 segment, we saw a 41% increase over a study that we did in April of 2019, right? So very, very significant.
That's huge.
Right? It is huge, and not as large, but similar increases going all the way up to the largest companies that we looked at. This was exclusive of geography. It happened in Italy, it happened in Spain, it happened in the UK, it happened in the US, it happened in Brazil. So really exciting trend for all of us. We also asked a bunch of questions around Microsoft Teams. So back in April of 2019, we found that the awareness of Teams in the, I'll call it the SME segment, less than 100 employees, was really high. About 2/3 of the companies we surveyed said they didn't know what Teams was. In the November 2020 study, that same segment showed an increase in deployment, planning of deployments, or in the middle of deployments of 103% for Microsoft Teams. Right?
Yeah.
It's just remarkable. And Microsoft's own numbers that they publish kind of bear this out. And again, I don't want everyone to think, hey, this is just an SME phenomena. This goes well beyond SME, and all of the companies we surveyed, we've seen increased adoption of Teams. When people talk about the challenges, they often point out training, they point out migrating from legacy systems, and a number of other factors. And then the last thing I'll say, Rob, is some of the gaps that we'd like to talk about today, and I think Marco is best suited to do that, are around features that are currently missing from Teams. So I'd be interested to hear Marco's perception, and then maybe we can relate it back to some of the data to see if that bears out.
Yeah, John. I think that numbers are describing what's happening and what happened in the last 2 years, and I think that we see it every day. I think that Teams had a huge, distribution. We have a lot of companies around the world that have been using Teams. Let's say starting from the pandemic, and they started using this tool because it's a good tool. It's a very good communication tool. But that was for, let's say, internal communication to make meetings. So Teams has been in the early stage known as, let's say, a meeting tool. What's happening now, and it's the numbers are just saying this from my point of view, is that now we are in the adoption phase. In the adoption phase, the customer needs to face two very important things. One is that Teams cannot remain isolated, must be connected to the real world, let's say, to the public network. And that's probably your, main job with the SBC, the Session Border Controller. So the Microsoft Cloud itself, it's very good, but it needs to be connected with the direct routing to the external world. And the other thing that we see is that when the customer makes this step, then he understands that in order to have an enterprise level communication solution, they need to get back their application. I say get back because they are we are not inventing something that is not existing. We know what the customer needs. And as I think that the same survey outlined that some of the most important application, and so we are now naming the gaps that Bob was introducing. They are call center, it's attendant console for the receptionist, it may be recording. So these are the main features and application that runs on top of the voice solution. And so my perception is that Teams is a huge opportunity, and in this game we all have a rule. Teams is giving the, let's say, what in the past was the PBX way, in a very easy way, in a very smart way, but they need a way to be connected to the world, and this is the why we need an SBC, why we need Ribbon, and they need to complete the application, because telephony, voice is not enough, and because customers already have such processes connected to the voice. So my perception, that's why I think we are working very well with Ribbon, is that we have a clear role, and the proposition is winning when we work together. And I think, let me say just a final thing, what we understood, because the point is that we have been doing this application since 15 years, so we have a very great expertise. We had to bring this application viable in the Teams environment, but obviously you have always something to learn. And what we understood is that there's a kind of new generation of users. We cannot face them as we approached it 15 years ago. They are used with Microsoft interfaces. We need to integrate them inside Microsoft user experience. So as John knows, our call center, for example, one of the most important things, we will see it later, but it's that we are not giving an external application or solution. We are just giving a solution that's fully integrated with Teams itself. And the final thing that is, I think it's very interesting in this world, is that we must also keep an eye on the applications that are not strictly linked to voice. CRM, in Microsoft it's Dynamics, and business intelligence, so the way all data is collected and managed, they are not strictly linked to voice, but they may be a very important features that we need to address, and that we can do, that we address. So I think that this is the gap, the picture of the gap. So I think that the next step is how together we can fill it.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because the picture itself is a huge ecosystem of partners, products, devices, appliances, applications. I was in the App Store, the Microsoft Teams App Store the other day, and there's almost 1,000 apps now that you can, in a click, attach, to your Microsoft Teams environment, which is just, phenomenal, really. And John, you must see that as well from your customer trends and buying behavior. That SBCs are kind of like a Swiss Army knife, aren't they? Really, and they really allow organisations to do more than just add SIP trunks to a
absolutely, Rob. There's always going to be that security aspect of an SBC, and can't stress enough how important voice security is along with data security, right? We don't have time to go into all of the reasons, but viewers out there, it's a fear, uncertainty, and doubt argument. Bad people want to break into you one way or another, and some of them will use your voice network to do that. So an SBC definitely does that. Yeah. But more importantly, it's a bridge between all of these applications and clouds that we're talking about, right? Teams to the PSTN, Teams to a cloud contact center, and so on. And our own internal experience at Ribbon, the pandemic rapidly accelerated our own migration from Skype for Business to Teams. And what I see now is I very rarely leave the Teams environment. All of the apps that I need are there, and it makes it easy. So I want to pick up on just a couple of things that Marco pointed out. One is in our study, we did look at feature usage after a company had adopted a unified communications platform. We also asked them what they thought the important features were going to be while they were in the buying process. And we looked at the delta. The three features that became much more important after using UC than they were thought of before using UC were auto attendant, call recording, contact center, right? And clearly we
Great.
partner
Yeah.
with world-class companies like Mida to fill those gaps. We do these studies, yes, for our own intelligence and to drive our product decisions. And importantly, we share these studies with our partners so that they can figure out the best way to approach the markets that they're in. The final point I want to make is on this whole migration issue. You don't do a hot cut, right? I mean, unless you're a 10-person company, you don't go away from your little key system or, Toshiba PBX and go all in on Teams in the span of an hour. It just doesn't work that way. Companies will migrate over time. Sometimes it will be legacy applications that they need to stay connected to. Sometimes there will be other reasons that a group of users need to stay on the PBX longer, or the CIO of an organization just wants to do a rational rollout across the organization. So the SBC is going to play a very, very important role in that as well, making sure that there's seamless integration between the cloud environment, Microsoft Teams, and a legacy PBX or a legacy cloud PBX. That gets done in a number of ways. Some companies do it by just kind of forking the call and, whatever the Teams client picks up or you pick up your phone, that's what you get. We do it in a lot more sophisticated way that allows for very, very tight integration. And it's, again, all about supporting those migrations because guess what, folks, we live in the real world where it takes time to get things right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're perfectly right.
I suppose some really key points there, and another one is just a nice segue onto Marco here. Is I suppose when you're in that migration kind of period or process, no one wants to kind of lose features, right? They want apples for apples. So if they've got an attendant console today on their old,
exactly
PBX, they're going to want one on Microsoft Teams. So Marco, tell us more about your partnership with Ribbon and a little bit more about the kind of products that you offer.
Yeah, I think you're saying very important things and what we see every day is that, when they migrate to Microsoft Teams, they were used to have the attendant console and they still need to have the attendant console. And the other thing that I think John outlined that's very important is that in this environment, as you said, Rob, there are thousands of propositions in Microsoft Teams and stuff like that. But telecommunication is not a simple application. Telecommunication is complex and needs competence. And that's why I think that the team, let me say this wordplay with Ribbon works, because we both have good expertise in this environment. We did not invent anything yesterday. We've been working on this. We already worked with Ribbon before it was Ribbon, when it was Nortel. So when I was a little bit younger.
You had hair and I had black hair.
And yeah, exactly. You got it. Yes. So, but I think it's not, something that is easy to understand because everyone thinks that telecommunication are simple. But our job is to make them simple. But behind the scenes, there is complexity. And as John said, on the security of voice, it's a huge thing that we have to manage, but something that people maybe does not think about that. And so let me say that once again, we are not inventing the call center today. I've been working on call centers since 15, 20 years. Our approach is we have the expertise on this, and we are bringing this application once again viable in Teams, because as you said, Rob, customers are going there And the situation is that I decided to go with Teams. There's no way out. I mean, there's no choice. But I want my application. I will go with the partner that will follow me on this path. There's no, choice on, okay, I will go back with a different voice solution. I adopted Teams. This is the only fixed point. So I think that this, what we are doing together with Ribbon, I mean, we are partners since more than 3 years, and then we are in Ribbon price list for both on-prem and cloud solutions. I think that this partnership is addressing exactly this, and let me say, we are a little bit more than one of the thousands of companies that are proposing something on the Teams environment.
So how does that work then, Marco? When let's say I'm an organization looking for a contact center for Microsoft Teams, I go to you at Mida. Do I need to kind of go to Ribbon as well for an SBC solution? How does that work?
You can go directly on our website, then there are a lot of contact forms, but the point, you can contact us or contact Ribbon. You can contact Mida at www.midasolutions.com or Ribbon on their website. Since, as we said before, the solution is made of both. It's not, no one is independent from the other. So it happens a lot of times that customer asked me for a solution in Italy, and I said, okay, can we work? You have any solution on the SBC? No, I don't have it. Okay, let's work with Ribbon. There's no more than 1 second for me to lead the customer on this, because I think that everything works if also the SBC works. Mida is not work. If the SBC is not working, Mida is not a working product. So that's why I think this partnership is very strong, and the whole proposition is a winning proposition.
Fantastic. And as you say, not every company is the same. And during upgrades and migrations, I'm sure that they can take professional advice from both of you to help solve their challenges. So, hey, Marco and John, it's been super speaking to you today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Great to see you again.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Ciao, John. Ciao, Rob.
And that's it from us. If you've enjoyed today's session, please subscribe to UC Today News and give this video a quick share on social, as it's always appreciated. And if you're a UC fan and want to be part of the conversation, you can join us using the UC News hashtag on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. And our social links are also in the description. So I'm Rob Scott from UC Today. Thanks for watching.